I'm a normal journalist. But my journalism is different. The key things I look at when I do my journalism is to name, shame, and jail.
Gordon Tilson grew up in Washington, D.C. In his early 20s, Gordon joined the Peace Corps, an initiative of President John F. Kennedy. For his service in the Corps, Gordon went to Ghana, the first country to welcome Peace Corps workers. While in Ghana, Gordon met Regina, who was to become the love of his life. They got married and after returning to the US, had their only child, Derek. However, their 30 years of married bliss were not to last. Regina was struck down by ovarian cancer, leaving Gordon a devastated widower. For the 14 years that followed, Gordon was a lonely man, even with the support of Derek, his now adult son. But then, 2 days before Thanksgiving one November, a Ghanaian widow called Helena reached out to Gordon on Facebook, and there began Gordon's second love affair with a Ghanaian woman, this time on the internet. Gordon's feelings for Helena grew so strong that he decided he must travel to Ghana to meet her. As the aircraft began its descent into Ghana's capital, Accra, Gordon saw a landscape that had radically changed since his last visit to the country. Every space seemed to be occupied by housing and business construction. The airport's International Terminal 3 was new and modern as well. But as Gordon emerged from the terminal, he was most excited about meeting Helena. But Gordon did not find her in the crowd at the arrivals area. Disappointed, he took the shuttle to his hotel, hoping he would soon hear from Helena. Accra's hectic traffic, itinerant vendors, tall buildings, and giant billboards only partially distracted Gordon as he wondered what could have happened to Helena. And as he arrived at the pristine entrance to his hotel, he hoped it was only a minor problem. Weeks later, Gordon went missing, and Derek lost all contact with his father. But Gordon did leave a trail. And then the trail was lost.
So did you? I guess I'm saying, is there a message in the mystery? Are you trying to bring that world to people, or are you just writing what you know?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of that. I do want to bring it to people. I mean, I've always said that there's no reason why that there's Icelandic noir and Scandinavian noir and all the other noirs, that Africa shouldn't have its noir as well. But hey, I just want somebody who solves mysteries in Ghana. It's like, hey, you can do it in LA, you can do it in London or wherever. So why not Ghana? And the problem was I hadn't been back to Ghana in something like almost 20 years, so I didn't really know much about the country as it was. And that's when I realized, well, you know what, you're gonna have to pay a visit. And that's when I started going back to Ghana like once a year or twice a year since 2009 to research what novel was coming up next. So
Well, what is that research like? If you do you go to Ghana on these trips knowing what you're going to write, and you got a list, or you have a specific thing you want to write about, or do you go there and absorb, and inspiration comes for your stories?
yeah, both. But I go there and I absorb, but I definitely have in mind what I'm going to be writing next because the time is usually short between, let's say, 2 and 6 weeks. So I've got to be efficient. I got to know exactly what I'm going to visit. And you're right, Michael. I actually literally do have a list. Do this, and it's a point list which I check off. Sometimes I get it all done. Every once in a while, I don't. Like in my last trip, I desperately tried to get into the forensic science lab, the police forensic science lab, and yeah, they weren't having it. So it left unchecked on my list.
I really think you have some very elegant and literary prose in your book. And I know people get degrees. I have a degree in creative writing and so forth, but I learned from reading. So I'm wondering if you can share who you learned from, because it's really beautiful stuff.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you.
think it probably comes from that literary side that you were just talking about.
Well, when I was a kid, I loved mysteries. I was 8 or 9, and I was reading. I devoured Sherlock Holmes. I devoured Dorothy Sayers, Agatha Christie, of course. Um, and it's so inspired. I used to write my own little novellas, either in longhand or or typed it out. I've been interested in that for a very long time, and it wasn't so much that I just enjoyed reading it, but I kind of wanted to reproduce it as well.
But why is Ghana a great place to set crime fiction? Is it a place of mystery? Do you feel like you're looking over your shoulder? What was your advantage with Ghana?
But in Ghana, the development is so rapid that there's a change from year to year. And it's fascinating to me to reflect that in my novels. I mean, in the first Darko Dawson novel, for example, Wife of the Gods, I mean, you barely saw a cell phone there, but in 2020, where 97, 98% of people in Ghana use a cell phone, and the expensive ones at that. So you just see that monumental change between the two. And then at the same time, as Ghana evolves technologically, it's still got some of those real old beliefs, the traditional beliefs. And those play into the mystery. That's the funny thing. And in Western literature or Western crime fiction, it's cut and dried in terms of clues, suspects, witnesses, but you don't have this confounding factor of what people believe in, even superstition. And I think that's an important ingredient in so-called African noir or African fiction. You've got this additional spiritual um, spiritual component. For example, in The Missing American, you meet some of these guys called Sakawa boys, who they're internet tricksters or fraudsters, but they use spiritualism, as they call it, as their background to be more and more effective in scamming people. You get things like that, and so when you throw that into a mystery, it's kind of confounding, and it also makes you think beyond the usual, oh, here's a clue, here's a cue, here's a clue, here's a clue, because you've got this added ingredient of spiritualism, which which I don't personally believe in, but it sure as hell fascinates me. I mean, I'm a scientist at heart, but I love to hear about this kind of stuff, no matter how ridiculous it sounds.
Are you ever scared, or do you have a safety net? Any good stories?
Yeah, the trick is always to go with somebody who knows their way around, and you need to make contacts, beforehand, so that, because the thing is, for example, I look black to you guys, right? But as soon as I go to Ghana, forget it. I'm called Oboroni, which literally means either white man or foreigner. In other words, they can see me coming from a mile away. And I'm not Ghanaian in their eyes. I mean, I have some mixed heritage, so they can spot it. And so, if you do that, you're setting yourself up to either be scanned by somebody or attacked or something. So yeah, you got to go with somebody, just like you did. And in my case, I have one homicide detective contact there as well. But for the missing American, I did go out with a private detective who had a lot of contact in the Sakawa world. So he took me around, and that once you're with somebody who is, recognized by everybody else, they'll tell you everything because they trust you.
So, Emma Djan, I should say the Edgar nominated Emma Djan. Where she's the character for the ages now. Not necessarily because you got a nomination or you won any awards. I mean, she just is a unique and very interesting character. What's the inspiration point for her? Where does she come from?
I felt like I was starting afresh with her, with Emma, and that we could all start at point A and move together, instead of importing her from somewhere else. So she's a character that grew on me. She was very timid in the beginning, and very diffident and sort of tentative, and then she blossomed as the book went along, and I was able to see her grow in front of me myself. I hadn't really planned her out in any particular way. She just continued to improve as time went on, and so now she's in the second book. She's much more established and much more confident in herself now, because she's got one one case under her belt. So she's feeling more like she can handle a lot more than she used to.
So Emma is wholly created. I guess I was getting at, like, did you draw from your mother or anyone else in your life? That is there someone a real inspiration in your life that's recognizable in Emma, or have you done the really writerly thing of wholly creating her?
Well, the parts that come from somebody I know are probably um, subconscious. Any strength or resistance to male domineering is probably my mom. Don't mess with my mom. In other words, I try to start creating a character who is herself, but my subconscious will feed something in there, and I may not even be aware that's happening. So it's hard for me to define her against one particular person.
Hi, it's Thomas. We're in Ghana, the internet capital of Africa. If you ever wonder what happens to computers that you donate to one of those green e-recycling programs, this is basically it. Kids from the north of Ghana come to this junkyard during the summer to break computers down for scrap and also inhale things that will probably end up giving them cancer of the everything.
So you can see all these are waste from computers. You see the place is very dirty. Yeah, so it's very bad for our health.
Most of the computers are only worth $1 or $2 of copper you can melt out of them, but occasionally you harvest something useful, like a hard drive or a processor, which you can sell at the little flea market area next to the charnel grounds. Ghana puts a lot of stock in computers. Their internet is directly linked to Great Britain's, and there are billboards all over the capital extolling the virtues of personal computing. Ghana already is sort of the top dog of West Africa, where most of its neighbors have been plagued by war and poverty since independence. Ghana's had almost 50 years of stability and growth. Right now, they're hoping foreign investment will bolster a computer industry here, which will kind of permanently make them the tech capital of West Africa. So far, it hasn't quite materialized, but what has materialized is a thriving underground economy of fraud and witchcraft called Sakawa.
Sakawa could be any fraud type: lottery, scam, auction, hitman, scam, romance, scam. But once you attempt to woo your victim through some spiritual coercion, then it moves from the realm of just ordinary fraud to what we call Sakawa here in Ghana.
That we couldn't get any support from anywhere. I wouldn't like to, carry guns all around me, probably to go rob a bank or something. So the idea of the internet came.
Sefa's a Sakawa success story. He's used his old scam earnings to pay for business school and has made a nice living for himself by Ghanaian standards. Sakawa comprises any number of online scams, but the majority boil down to two basic types. One, you pretend you're a sexy girl, convince someone to fall in love with you, then they send you money. This is called the romance scam. The other one is you use stolen or forged credit card number to buy something online, then you have it shipped to someone in the West who sends you money for it. That one's called the shopping scam.
Tracy, you thought you'd met this man, who you thought was an American-Australian soldier, through a dating website called Are You Interested?
Correct.
Now, after about 5 weeks, he told you he'd found gold in Afghanistan.
Yes. He said that he'd found 125 kilos of gold bullion and needed money to pay the fees on the gold. And then it progressively got higher and higher and higher, and then it got to $10,000, $20,000, $25,000, till it reached close to $80,000.
Altogether, you sent 80,000 to him.
Yeah.
Or to the people you thought were him.
The man I fell in love with, this fictitious photo here.
The thing with Sakawa is while it's essentially free money, it isn't easy money. To find someone gullible enough to fall for your shtick, you have to spend hours and hours emailing hundreds and thousands of random addresses.
Sakawa rules that very severe here in Ghana. There were this group of people who were visiting juju, having snakes. The boys seek spiritual guidance to help them get something out of this browsing, this scam activities.
I don't know if you're aware, but Ghana has been banned from most e-trading sites. Ghana's reputation as a peaceful, friendly, and an investor-friendly country now stands tainted in the sense that we are sixth in the world in cybercrime.